Hello, and welcome to the fifth class within our series called Journey Through the Chakras. Today, we're going to focus on tuning into finding our voice and speaking our truth through energizing the throat or fifth chakra. You can have your props handy or any other household items that will serve, such as blankets, pillows, towel stacks, or books that can be used to help to support the body. We will be utilizing props today. I'm going to turn it over to Deborah, who's going to teach us more about the fifth chakra. And then we're going to begin to integrate these concepts into our practice for speaking our truth.
So before we talk about fifth chakra, let's just do a little review since all the chakras are lessons that build upon one another. So your first chakra at the root of your spine is your lesson of my right to be here and to have. So it's learning things like whether or not we feel safe in the world, whether we could trust that there's abundance. Its block or demon is fear. Second chakra, as we move into the pelvis, is our lesson of my right to have my own feelings, beliefs, ideas. And it's where we start to differentiate and say, I get to be me separate from you. I don't have to always be exactly like the tribe, so to speak. And its block is guilt. Third chakra, your solar plexus between your belly button and your ribs, is your lesson of my right to have will. So it's where we have agency. It's our power center in essence. Whether or not we feel confident, have self-esteem, feel competent in the world, its block is shame. Heart chakra is our lesson of unconditional love, learning to play and have joy and to really let go of all the shoulds, all the rules we have about how things should or shouldn't be. And so its block is grief, which is anger and sadness. And now as we move up into throat chakra is our lesson about being authentic and finding our voice and speaking our truth. And so it's an important one. And the throat chakra actually is think of it as a bottleneck point, perhaps, between your thoughts and your body. So we really want this spot to be open so that that energy can flow up and down the chakra line in your body. The color of your throat chakra is aquamarine, and its element is ether. It governs your throat, your thyroid, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, and hearing. Its traditional seed sound in Sanskrit is hum. It's H-A-M, but it sounds a little more like hum. And then if you want to use an English word, you can use E, like sleep, also to get that area to vibrate. The demon, so its block, is lies. And so you could think about lies not only as not literally telling the truth, but also if we're not speaking up, if we're not really saying how we feel. So physical manifestations of blocks in the throat chakra could show up as thyroid issues, neck and shoulder problems, hearing issues, anything with your jaw. So TMJ, grinding, think about all that kind of stuff. In terms of emotional blocks, it's really about communication, right? So do you have a hard time saying how you really feel? Are there people in your life where it's hard to talk to them and share? Do you have a hard time admitting things to yourself, right? That's part of it as well. And I really want you to listen to the quality of your voice too, as another sign, right? Do you mumble? Are you quiet? Do people have a hard time hearing you? Do you feel like you have to be really loud to be heard? So those are all things to think about as you think about your throat chakra and whether or not it's open or not. And so as you go through your practice today, as you go through your week, we really invite you to try to be mindful of these qualities of your voice. And I want you to think about also, we're going to use today sound a little bit more sometimes than we do in some of the other practices because we're talking about your throat. And so I want you to think about sound as, because it's frequency, almost like a jackhammer on concrete, right? That when we use sound, it's like vibrating, it literally vibrates your body to help open up things. So we're going to focus on opening up throat chakra today, but really all of your chakras have a seed sound that you can chant that help open up those different parts in your body. The last thing I want you to think about, one of my favorite sayings is, if you can name it, you can tame it. Right? So there is such a power. We're not always going to get everything we ask for, but just the act of asking is so empowering. If we can label things, then we can learn to discharge them and let them go. So enjoy the physical practice today. Again, we're going to incorporate more sound. So enjoy. Here we go.
Okay, so if you have props available like a block, blanket fold, then I'm going to invite you to set up in a modified Virasana pose, which is where we bring our knees forward, at least hip width distance, and then you set your block or prop just between your ankles. So I have my block set on the medium setting, the wide way right between my ankles. For some people, they need to be sitting a little bit higher. So if you have two blocks, you might flip your lower block to the lowest setting and then stack your second block on top of there. If you need even more lift, you could take a blanket fold and put it on there. If you don't have blocks, then you might use books or a dense pillow off your sofa or blanket stacks that you could fold kind of in this long, narrow position, and then you could put the short end right between your ankles to seat yourself on. So there's lots of ways to set up. If for some reason you're like, I don't have any of that, just sit cross-legged, just find something that works for you. So we're going to take a moment here to start to arrive into this beautiful practice for activating our throat chakra. And as Deborah mentioned about, sound and even the seed sound of the throat chakra, we're going to be integrating that into the practice here today. So first, just take this moment to start to sense your body in space, to start to feel into the places that your body easily touches the ground or is supported by your props, and sensing into that as your foundation. The sense of being anchored or tethered to the earth, rooting into Mother Earth to find that support. You might choose to close your eyes or soften your gaze down upon your cheeks just to start the process of tuning inward. I'm going to invite you here right off the bat to start to take a full breath in through your nose, fill up, and then exhale through your mouth. Maybe you'll create an aspirated sound, or maybe you'll actually create a sighing sound, ha, or our seed sound for today is hum, hum. So you can play around with this. We're going to just start here, a few breaths of inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, either with or without sound. I'm just demonstrating this. You can do what feels good for you. Big breath in. One to two more breaths. Begin to invite your breath to move now in and out through your nose. Pay attention to the details around the throat, jaw, tongue, face, and see if you can allow your jaw joint to remain unhinged, but your lips softly sealed, so that we're creating or maintaining a sense of spaciousness inside of the mouth, around the jaw and throat area. Oftentimes we grip the jaw. That's one place. We can grip in many other places as well. And so today, particularly, we're going to try to have some attention around keeping that open, spacious, and soft. Floating your hands to your heart, either palms together in front of the heart, hands resting directly over your heart, or if you want to rest your hands somewhere on the front of your body, feel free. Take this moment to set a conscious intention for your practice today. You might choose just a simple word or phrase, something that you can easily call upon to your attention that'll help bring you back into the present moment when needed. And once you have that for yourself, gently release your arms and open your eyes to a soft gaze, head upright. We're going to inhale, reach the arms out to the sides. Exhale, interlace your hands behind your back. So your hands will come into an interlaced positioning right behind your head. I think I said back and I meant to say head. But you're going to take your hands right behind the back of your head at the base of the skull. Let your shoulders just soften here for a moment and let your head, the weight of your head, really just drop back into your hands. And so hopefully there's just a bit of a lifting or broadening of your chest here. And just this initial moment of feeling this throat area start to open and the weight of the head be held here. Take a couple of breaths. You don't have to widen out your elbows very far, and you don't even have to hug them in. I just want you to find kind of an organic place where they just land. Take one more breath here. See if you can really let your head be held as much as possible, that sense of being held. And then on your next exhale, just melt your hands away from your neck, letting your arms come down by your side. Let your arms hang by your side. And on an inhale, gently shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, roll them back and down. And again, inhale, shrug your shoulders up. Exhale, release. And one more time, inhale and exhale. Beautiful. And we're going to take the left hand to the right collarbone. So this bone that goes right across the front here on your right side. So your left hand, the part of your kind of thumb and this part of your hand is going to go right at the top of that bone. And I want you, as you're breathing here, to pull the skin down. You're going to pull the skin down over the bone and then start to play around with tipping your head any amount toward your left and maybe even chin kind of up a little. So you're going to play here as you pull that skin down with feeling a stretch. I know I get a really big stretch all the way up through the scalenes. I even get it up into my ear, base of my ear and jaw right here. Now, as you're here breathing, one thing that's going to happen is because, you know, we're slick and we're pulling down, is you might have to readjust your hand. So as you pull it down and you're kind of tipping, moving your head a little bit to find that stretch and breathing into that, you might have to reset, you know, every few moments here of just taking the hand back over and finding that stretch again. So I just want you to take a few breaths here. And, you know, this is an area of the body, this front of the neck area, and even the chest, that tends to get tighter with just our modern day doings, really mostly of like holding our devices and texting and all of that. And we're all doing it to some degree, but it starts to tighten this area, tightening our chest and our kind of what surrounds our throat. And really, there's an actual like kind of medical term for it, which is text neck, or in some cases tech neck, which is so crazy. But anyway, so we are taking a moment to become aware of this, to start to open it. See if you can feel any stretch. I mean, I'm getting the stretch all the way up into my ear. Breathing. Good. And then gently release. Bring your head back to center. Bring the arm down. Take a moment to feel the difference in sides. And we're just going to cleanse here. Inhale, cleansing the palate. Inhale, reach your arms up. Touch fingers or palms. Exhale, slide your hands down toward your heart. And again, inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale. Okay, so second side, we're gonna take the right hand, that part of the right kind of edging of the thumb, over to the left collarbone. And one side might be different than the other. So you're gonna start to take your thumb kind of right over the bone, pull the skin down, start to tip your right ear toward any amount, toward your right shoulder, and then maybe the chin slightly up and to the right at a diagonal. It's a little bit different for everybody. So again, when you reset, when you feel like you got to reset your hand, you might bring your head back to center and then kind of start to play. We're just exploring. Don't forget to breathe here. You may notice that one side's much tighter than the other. You might even get more stretch. I'm sorry I didn't say this on the other side, by dropping your left arm kind of down. You could even reach it out. So you'll see, you're just going to see what feels good in your body. Taking a final breath or two here. Once you feel complete, start to bring your head back to center. Start to release your arms. And your arms can either rest by your sides or they can rest on your thighs, either palms up or down. We're just going to start to take just some easy neck rolls. So not over exaggerated, something that feels good, but I want you to start to roll or make a circle with the top of your head. And as you do this, you can tip your head maybe toward your right and then chin slightly down toward the chest, and then tipping your head toward your left, then crown of the head reaching up. We're going to go a couple more rounds in this direction. And if it resonates for you, you might start to integrate that hum sound. Hum. Now, if you're doing this on your own, you're just going to go on your own rhythm or how much breath capacity you have. You don't have to match mine. Gently reverse and go the other direction as it feels right. And once you feel complete, start to bring your head back up to center. Take your time. And from here, we're going to take the hands right onto the very top of the thigh bones. Place a little bit of pressure down. Start to loop your shoulders back. Inhale, hinge forward in space just a little bit. And on your exhale, press your hands into your thighs to start to rise up so that you're standing up onto your knees. And I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see the alignment here. So for sure, if you have cranky knees, make sure you have something underneath your knees. So you can still have your block or blocks there. We're just going to curl the toes under, which will probably feel good right about now. And then you can bring your hands to your low back sacrum or kind of outer hip area. Start to loop your shoulders back and encourage the skin of your low back to draw down. So you have a long low back. And then start to lift up through your sternum or chest bone, keeping your inner thighs rolling back, lifting up through your chest, letting your head just follow that. You don't have to drop your head back by any means. Full breath in, shoulders loop back, full breath out. One more breath here. And then on your next exhale, push your hands into your back to gently come back up to center. And we're going to release. And you can now move your blocks just where they're handy for you. And we're going to come to hands and knees, tabletop position. So once you come to tabletop, take a moment to spread your fingers bright, allowing your knees to rest hip width distance, toes pointing straight back. We're going to press the tops of the feet into the ground and inhale, reach your chest forward. And as you exhale, round through your upper mid back, drop your head, pushing the upper back toward the sky. Take a breath here, just an extra breath, holding this, breathing into the back of your heart space, letting the back of your neck release. And then on your next inhale, draw your chest forward, energetically dragging your hands back. Exhale, pushing the tops of the feet into the ground as you round up. One more, inhale, drawing your chest forward, broadening your collarbones. Exhale. Inhale, drawing your chest forward, maybe walking your hands forward just a little bit in front of your shoulders. This time, curl your toes under, and we're going to rise up on the exhale to downward facing dog. Take a moment in your down dog to check in. You might bend your knees and reach your hips way up and back to find your spinal extension. You might pedal into your legs a bit here. Full breath in and out. And just know that, if the that hum sound was really resonating for you, that you can work that in at any point. And it's really nice too when we feel any kind of pent up energy in the body or angst or just anything we feel like we need to let go of, to release with sound. So maybe that's the sound that you might choose today. So take a few breaths here. And then gently walk your feet the width of your mat, 10 toes pointing straight ahead, a wide-legged downward facing dog. Really try to push your heels back in toward the ground, and if they don't touch, that's completely fine. But energetically drive your heels down, lift your hips up, And allow the top of your head to energetically reach for the space between your thumbs. And so the back of the neck really long here. Start to carefully on an inhale, turn your nose toward your right arm, any amount. Just tractioning the neck and also stretching into the left side of the neck now. And then as you take your next exhale, come back to center. Inhale, gently turning your nose toward your left arm, any amount. And exhale back to center. Couple more if that's good for you. And then from here, just carefully begin to walk your hands back to meet your feet, coming to a wide-legged standing forward fold. You might choose to grab onto opposite elbows with each hand just to get a bit of more stretch in the upper back if that feels good for you. Or any other variation of arms that serves you. You can certainly have a bend in the knees if that feels better in your spine. We do want to find that the spine is just falling over the legs like a waterfall. If you're grabbing onto opposite elbows, perhaps switch the cross of those arms at some point. Taking a few more breaths right here. You might even purposely kind of slowly bend your knees a little bit more for a moment. Feel your spine drop further down toward the ground. And then you might start to straighten your legs a little more. Just see what feels good here. So we're going to begin to come up, and I want to give you a couple of choices. If you know you don't have low back issues, then I'm going to invite you to roll up like a rag doll. Your knees will stay soft the whole way. You'll roll up one vertebra at a time. Head's the last thing to come up. So you could begin that. If you have a tender low back or low back issues, I'm going to ask you to come to a jockey pose where you bring your elbows or forearms to your thighs, bend your knees, reach your chest forward, tushy back, and then keep that flat back as you bring your hands to your thighs and you start to press up slowly with a flat back. So once you're up, just take a moment to allow that to wash over you. We're going to set up next in a wide stance on the mat. So if you had a blanket for your knees, just go ahead and move it off to the side for a moment. And if you're working with blocks or something that would serve as blocks, as you take that wide stance, you're going to take your blocks, any height, but you might just want to start at the tall height, right behind your heels so that they're there and you'll be able to easily readjust them. So we're going to come into triangle pose. So go ahead and you're going to bend your right knee and turn your right toes to face that short edge of your mat. And then pick up your back heel and just spin it out a little bit so that your back toes are slightly in, heel out, unless that puts pressure on your knee or ankle. And then from here, start to turn your chest toward this front long edge of the mat. Good. And find your beautiful breath. We're going to slowly start to straighten the front leg without locking the knee joint. Start to sense down into the 8 wheels of your feet or the 4 points of each foot and float your arms to either side, vibrantly reaching through your fingertips. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, start to hinge from that right hip socket, like you're reaching to get something from a tall shelf. So you get this nice stretch and length in this right side of the body. You'll start to feel a stretch in your right hamstring, groin. And then when you can go no further, you're going to windmill your arms, bringing your right fingertips, either fingertips or fists, either down onto your block, or if you don't have a prop, you could even take your fingers lightly onto your front leg. Just don't weight down on that leg. And then we're reaching the left arm up. Now, as you're here, you want to get long in your spine. So the crown of your head or the top of your head is reaching in this direction. The tailbone's reaching in opposition. Your gaze can either be straight out, or if you want to try to look up, I'm going to suggest that you first tuck your chin in towards your chest, and then you start to take the gaze up. So this is definitely a big stretch to the neck, but it doesn't work for everybody. So if you're getting strain, definitely just keep your head at neutral, or you could even look down. Full breath in, full breath out. If you're looking up, start to bring your gaze more neutral. And then on your next exhale, we're going to bend into the front knee, press through the feet, and come back up, warrior two, and then gently release your arms. Turn your right toes to face forward. Bring your hands to your heart for just a moment, anywhere on your heart or in front of your heart. Just take a big breath in and let something go. Beautiful. Second side. So we're going to bend into the left knee. We're going to turn the left leg bone and toes to face toward that side, that left side. And then we'll bend into that front knee just to start. It makes it a little easier. And then start to just feel an equality of weight in both legs and feet. Make sure that your back heel is slightly out, toes in, if your knee and ankle allow it. And then from here, we're going to slowly start to straighten the front leg, reaching the arms to either side. And one side may be different than the other. As you exhale, you're going to hinge from the hips, reach your left arm kind of up and out as you hinge, like trying to get something on a tall shelf. And then when you can go no further, windmill the arms, and you can take your hand, fist, fingertips either to your block. You might even stack blocks if one block's too low. Or maybe just fingertips lightly touching the leg. It's very easy to lock the front knee, which is one reason why I don't usually instruct people to bring their hand to their leg, because it's very easy to kind of like just lean on it. So do your best to stay light, to stay strong through your legs. Feel your belly gently drawing back. And then just decide on this side where you want your head or gaze to be. Full breath in, full breath out. If you want to look up, just maybe tucking the chin in as you take your gaze then up. Makes it a little bit easier to get there. Good. And on your next exhale, we're going to bend into the front knee, push through the back foot, come back up, warrior two. And then gently straighten your front leg, turn your left toes forward. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a big breath in, letting something go. All right, so from here, let's heel toe or step the feet towards one another. And I'm going to have us transition down onto our belly. So we're really just going to get down there as easy, however's easy. And then you're going to want to have space on either side of you, because we're going to do intense chest shoulder opener. And then the other thing is that you might want to have handy is a thin blanket fold or pillow. A thin block can even work sometimes. Okay, so I am going to have you guys, as you come down on your belly, you're going to shift your body towards the right edge of your mat. And this is just so that once you take your left arm to the left, you have more surface area of your body on your mat. And you're going to take that arm, I like to start conservatively. So you're going to take that arm kind of down at a diagonal. You can always, intensify it by lifting it, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And then you're going to turn your gaze to the right. Your right arm is bent with the palm on the ground like you're about to do a push-up. And then you're going to roll onto your left side. And as you roll onto your left side, super important, you're going to simultaneously inch your left arm away from you. So further away from you so that the front of your shoulder doesn't get pinned underneath your body. Now, if this is super intense for you, you can maybe take a blanket fold underneath your head like I just did. So that might feel better just in general. The other thing is if it's very intense in the front of your chest shoulder, you can lower the arm down a little bit. Conversely, if you want more, you can lift the arm a little bit. You never want your arm to be higher than your shoulder, which is a 90-degree angle. So just keep that in mind. Your legs can stay straight and stacked with feet flexed and the hips stacked as well. That's usually pretty accessible for most people. If you do feel like you want to go deeper, you want to explore a potential hip opener as well, you could bend your top leg and place the sole of the foot either in front of or behind your bottom extended leg. Now that will intensify usually what you're feeling in your upper body. So you're going to decide. Your right hand can rest anywhere in front of you that feels good for support. Some people feel like they can balance here and that they can either take their right arm just resting on their right side body, so hand off ground. Some people like to reach back or wrap the arm behind them. I mean, you can play with any of that. It is going to intensify the sensation. So breathing into the stretch, breathing into the sensation. Do your best to flatten your left palm to the ground, particularly the pinky edge side of that hand. Take a final breath here. And then if your top leg was bent, you're going to go ahead and gently uncross it and restack and straighten it. And then you're going to carefully ease yourself back onto your belly, just guiding yourself. If you have something under your head at some point, you might want to push it out of the way just as you come back to center. Once you're at center, you can center yourself on the mat and just take a moment to bring your arms into a restful position that feels symmetrical to you or centering or just feels nice to be in. Letting go of that side. It might also feel nice to shimmy the hips from side to side or wiggle waggle the legs, anything like that. And then we're going to start to explore the other side. So it might just be helpful to shift your body towards the left edge of your mat, just so you have lots of mat space to roll onto. You're going to take your right arm to the right at a slight diagonal to start. Bend your left arm like you're going to do a push-up, and then start to roll yourself onto your right side as you simultaneously inch that arm away from you. So you want to make sure the front of your shoulder head is not getting pinned under your body. And, sometimes because of the differences in sides, because we all have asymmetries, you may not have needed anything under your head on the other side, but it might be different on this side. So if something's feeling off or too intense or something like that, just start to explore either something under your head, where your head is still at a neutral position, your neck, I should say, is still at a neutral position. Maybe on this side, you want to cross your leg either in front of or behind the extended leg. So just make sure that whatever variation you choose feels manageable, feels breathable, that you give yourself permission to readjust if needed. So this side might be different than the other in a lot of different ways because of asymmetries in the body. So you might play around with, if something feels off or too intense, just modifying with any of the suggestions I had made previously. Maybe something under your head, maybe something not under your head. Maybe lowering your right arm down so that it lessens the intensity. Or maybe if you're wanting more, you cross your top leg, either in front of or behind your extended leg. So breathing here and making sure that whatever variation you've chosen is breathable, is manageable for you. We're going to take a couple more breaths here. And then slowly, gently, we're going to start to carefully guide ourselves back out of this positioning with control, with awareness. Once you release it, you can just shift back to center on your mat and take anything that feels neutralizing for you. And then from here, we're just going to simply roll onto our backs. So however is easiest for you to do that. I'm going to invite you here to have either a block within arm's reach, or if you don't have a block, you might do a blanket stack or a couple blankets or towels on top of one another that you just have handy within arm's reach. Once you're on your back, take a moment to just hug your knees in towards your chest, give them a little squeeze. Your knees can drop apart, they can stay together. You can rock from side to side if that feels good. And then we're going to bring the feet back to the ground, knees bent, feet flat, feet are resting at hip width distance. And bring your arms by your side, palms facing up. Start to anchor the backs of your shoulders and upper arm bones back into the ground. So you feel a broadening across your chest and opening through the front of your body. Take a breath in, and on your exhale, you're going to push into your feet, lift your hips, and grab your prop, whatever that might be, and place it underneath your low back sacrum. So make sure there's nothing under your head other than just your mat here. And I have my block at the medium setting, but you could do a lower setting if you wanted. There are some people who like to do the tall setting. It's not as stable, but you could certainly do it. So there is a sweet spot at this low back sacral area that you might just have to play around with the placement of your prop. You want to make sure that it feels centered, but it also feels like your low back is long and your pelvis is completely supported. Now keep the backs of your shoulders to the best of your ability in external rotation, kind of nuzzled a bit under your body. And this will depend on how high your hips are. But we're going to begin to pick up the right foot off the ground, knee towards chest, and then pick up the left foot off the ground, knee towards chest. So we have both feet off the ground. And you might feel like, oh, I need to readjust my prop. Feel free to do that if you have that urge. And we're going to see how it feels to start to float the legs skyward. The legs don't have to be fully straight. They can be bent. That's completely fine. But we're reaching the legs or positioning the legs to where they are not angled forward of our hip points. I'll just show you this. When you angle the legs forward of the hip points, it turns on the core. It makes things have to grip. That's not what we're after right now. We want to find a sense of restoration, of rest, and release. So this is a beautiful variation, really, of legs up the wall without the wall. This is called candlestick pose. And what is happening here is that the blood is reversing its flow from the legs, moving into the pelvis, and then slowly moving and washing over all the major organs, and then going right to the throat, thyroid area. So where the thyroid resides there in the throat is now getting flooded in a beautiful way with blood flow and energy. So just take some breaths here. Again, you can work in that humming at any point if that felt good, or any kind of humming or sound, chanting, release of sound that feels good for you. Just see if you can let go of something, if you can surrender, relax, even if it's your toes, the thigh bones just sinking into the hip sockets, the inner groin softening. You may start to feel a tingling sensation, or what some people call numbness in your feet, toes. That's completely normal. And we won't be here much longer, but if it's uncomfortable, you can just slowly bend your knees for a moment. Taking a couple more breaths here. We're going to slowly, slow as molasses, start to bend the knees. And as the knees bend, the feet are going to gently start to dangle down. And then just take a moment there, feeling that blood move back down into the feet. On your next exhale, you can gently bring one foot down to the ground. Anchor that foot. And on your next exhale, start to bring the other foot down to the ground and anchor that foot. And then just take a moment to feel.
With your feet strongly tethered to the ground, start to push the backs of your shoulders into the earth. And on an exhale, lift your hips enough that you can remove your prop and just set it to the side. Keep your hips lifted for this moment. Take a breath in. On your exhale, start to lower your hips and pelvis, your low back area, a couple of inches. Hover, inhale, exhale, lower a couple more inches. And continue in that way until your pelvis is all the way down. Take your time. Once your pelvis is all the way down, you can carefully hug your knees in towards your chest. Just give them a little squeeze. It might feel good to rock from side to side. It might feel good to let your legs or knees widen, almost like a passive happy baby here. Just after being in that back bend, might feel really good. Shoulders soft. And then from here, we're going to set up for our final resting pose. So I'm going to show you my suggestion, but you're going to ultimately choose what feels best for you. My suggestion is what is called supported fish pose, and it starts to open up the heart and throat area. So if you have a bolster or you have a stack of blanket folds that are folded in this long, narrow fold like mine, anything like that can completely work. Depending on the density or height of your prop that you're going to be on, you might need to have a thin blanket or pillow for your head. So I'm going to show you the setup. You need a long enough like pillow or blanket stack to where you can seat yourself on the bottom edge. And then you're going to start to ease yourself back. Your head is coming off the edge and your shoulders are dropping right off the edge. And I need to reposition myself just a little bit because you want the back of your heart to be, or shoulder blades, to be kind of right on the edge of your prop. And then your shoulders like a waterfall just dropping off. And then let me just show you, if you need something under your head, it's going to be because your neck looks something like this, like your chin can't drop down. So if that's the case, put as much as you need under your head. Now your knees can stay bent with your, I like to have my feet wide and the knees tipping in, but you could also do just hip width. And then you can allow your arms to rest wherever feels best. Some people can straighten their legs, but it's oftentimes pretty compressive to the low back. So just feel it out. And if this, for some reason, is not serving you today, or you feel like you don't have the props, or you just don't want to do it, do something different. So I'm going to turn it over to Deborah at this point as you guys float into Shavasana.
As you move into your Shavasana, maybe just take a moment and notice if you feel any differently in your neck and shoulder and throat area, your jaw, does it feel a little more open and loose, hopefully after that beautiful practice that we just did. And then perhaps as you're in your Shavasana, invite your inner guidance to bring to your awareness anything that you might need to say that you haven't been saying, whether it's to yourself or to somebody else in your life. So put that intention out there if that speaks to you. And otherwise, we're just going to be quiet. Maybe just notice for a couple of breaths your breath as it moves in and out through your throat area, or just let go of your thinking and just be for the next few minutes. Whenever you're ready, you might choose to take some gentle movement, perhaps wiggling toes and fingers, or you might choose to deepen your breath. If you're up on any of your props and fish pose or any other variation you may have taken, just gently roll to one side. You could choose to roll to the left, which is more the feminine energy, or to the right, whatever's more accessible to you right now. And pause again, take a couple of breaths. Keeping your eyes closed, gently press yourself up to a comfortable seated position, and then draw your hands together at the heart center, either in prayer position, or you might choose to lay one palm on top of the other on your heart space, or bring one hand to the chest, one hand to the belly, just whatever feels good for you today. And then bowing your head in towards your heart, to your inner teacher. You might choose to close your practice by setting an intention for the rest of today, or your week. Or you might choose to come to a prayer or some words of gratitude, or you can continue in silence. We are, as always, so grateful to get to spend this time with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your practice, your energy, your journey with us. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.